Right. Well, we're here at the garden hive. This is January 28th, nice Sunday afternoon, and we want to check on the health of this bee colony. Make sure what I'm checking for today, I want to make sure that they have ample food. I want to check their temperament and see how docile they are. This one is my leading candidate for grafting as I try to make more queens this year for splits and new colonies.
While recording this video, my microphone was not actually even on. So the audio that you'll hear real time was recorded through my wife's video. There were portions of the video when that was not picking up my voice adequately, and so I will overdub some of the things of note in this inspection.
Down below the frames. Moving off all of those that are dead. All right, here's our my pencil markers. We don't need to leave here, I don't think. We're going to open this up. I'm going to inspect for food and for brood. Once I see what I need to see, we're going to seal them back up. We've got a pretty warm week ahead of us. And this today is probably in the mid 60s. So it's not a bad day for inspection. Here's what I find on the divider board. Got a few bees active, and they have started to build burr comb. And I should probably scrape that off so we don't end up with a mess when we come back to it in the spring. So here's something that might be interesting to some of you. You can see the difference between propolis, which is here, and wax, which is here. Maybe you can see the difference in the texture and the color, the thickness. And propolis is bee glue made from tree resins, and the wax the bees excrete themselves from special glands that I'm told are not dissimilar from what we have in our ears. So I can dump this off. Now, I'm not going to do it right now because they use the propolis to seal up the hive and preserve the temperature. But in the spring, when there's there's no need for that extra warmth, I can harvest that propolis. It can be used medicinally. All right. This colony has 9 frames. And as I look at the one on the very end, this one was provided here or retained here mainly for food. And it does still have some capped honey, but they have uncapped quite a lot. On this side, there's a lot of capped honey still left. So food is not a problem for this hive, at least not yet, and probably not until the weather warms up, because this frame 8 also has uncapped reserves. Oh yeah, it's heavy. Got a lot of, that's about 2/3 of a, oh, and there's liquid nectar in the bottom. I don't know if they've harvested that from we've got a few plants that grow almost year round. They had to have just populated that. So I'll bet they're finding, we have occasional dandelions blooming, and we have a plant called henbit that makes these lovely little purple flowers, and it's already blooming here. So I would say they probably, even right now, right about in the middle of our Texas winter, are still finding pollen sources. All right, frame 7. See lots of bee bread, so they've got pollen for brood. See lots of nectar, lots of uncapped honey on that side. So more resources. 7, 8, 9 are all food frames. They've got plenty. Now, did I just put that in the wrong way? Nope, that was the wrong way. All right. So this is frame 6. All right, I've got some indication that we've had wax moth in between these frames. See some webbing there.
I should note that there were no other indications of wax moths, so the hive is strong enough to tend to that problem themselves.
This is another frame of food. Boy, I left them a lot.
Maybe they got more.
That could be, yeah. Now, you'll notice I've got a lot of bees flying right now. They are not attacking me. That's not a bee. So what I'm looking for is in part to assess whether this colony is still as docile as they have been. I've been real happy with this colony and this queen and the bees that she lays. And so I've got my eye on this colony as the one I'm going to graft from. That's why I'm giving special care, making sure they're good going into winter. Now I'm starting to look for chance of some brood. More honey. There's my queen. Got a red dot. I don't know if she's in the camera frame. I'll try to highlight that on the video. Again, the bees are flying around. A little concerned about what's going on, but they're not outright trying to. Not that I've noticed. Take a look at frame 4. More honey. Okay. Now I am quite sure I did not leave this much for winter reserve. So they are continuing to locate nectar and dry it into honey. What that tells me is that when spring does come, I'm going to have to right away get more frames up. We'll have plenty of places to lay when the time comes that they're filling all these with honey.
More honey? Goodness.
A little surprised that I'm not seeing. I wouldn't expect to see large amounts of brood this time of year. Surprised that I'm not seeing any. honey and pollen. Okay, well, I saw the queen. Just thinks it's wintertime and I shouldn't be bringing up the population yet. I'm going to trust her decisions on that. Colony is in good health with good resources. They're exhibiting traits of temperament that I like a lot. Lots of pollen, lots of nectar. No brood there either. There could have been a small area of brood on the frame where I found the queen. I didn't see it right away, but that's not true. I'm just going to put them back right now. No more worries on account of food for this hive for sure. In fact, it might even make sense for me to borrow a frame and take it to the others. A little more than they liked right there. I think this one I'm going to take another colony. So I've got a few in my other apiaries here in town that were left with a lot fewer stores than this one has.
So seeing all the frames with the honey, when will you decide to add more frames for her to lay on in?
Probably when I get back from Vegas. Oh, you know what? I never turned on my microphone.
Oh,
I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, I'll probably come back, try to get out here right away. Oops. Right now, if she looks for a place to lay, got some options. When we start seeing copious amounts of spring flowers. Um, they'll fill that up pretty quick. On the other hand, they'll also be using a lot more nectar as they produce more brood. All right, if you would stop the video. Okay, we are still January 28th. Here I'm looking at the first of my 25 frame hives that I built myself using plans from horizontalhive.com. And the colony here is a merger of one colony that I had in a nuke that was queenless, and another one that I had in another nuke that was laying worker. And I combined the queenless with a queen right colony and shook out the laying workers. And you've probably seen videos from winterizing about this. And then I recently came by and added some dry sugar, and I see that a number of bees have been in there. Some of them, though, have died, and I'm not sure what that's all about. Got an interesting trail and a couple of places of propolis. I'm not sure what they could be possibly gluing up with that, so I'm not sure how that got there or what they wanted to do with that. Let's scrape that loose. And as is usually the case, I find a few dead bees in the winter up on the top of the hive, on the chance that they are just too chilled, which is unlikely with as warm as it has been today. Instead of knocking them off on the ground, I'm going to knock them off back in the hive in case they rejuvenate or not rejuvenate, revive when they're warmer. All right, this is one where I had several frames. I think it was all three of these together, and they were cross-combed. I just want to take a look at what they're doing with these combs. So we got a mess. It looks like they're about empty of honey. This is a smaller colony and less likely to be able to find their own resources this time of year. I'm going to give this there's not many bees here, there's a few. I'm going to give them a good shake. And I'm going to take all three of these because they're dry. I'm going to take these away from them. And I'm going to give them one instead from my garden hive with copious amounts of honey. So hopefully that will help them out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably more frames than they need for the size of the colony, but I'll assess that as I go along. Here's another one. This does have some dry nectar and some bee bread. I'm sorry, dry nectar, wet nectar rather. And on this side, there's nothing. So they've got a little bit more to eat. And I'm inclined to leave this in the colony for them. All right, I'm not going to mess with that yet. All right, but I am going to put that on the back side of the honey so that I'm going to put that honey as close to the cluster as I can. Okay, this one has some bee bread and some nectar. Okay, so they are still finding some. There's just fewer of them here to be able to fill that out. And since they do like to consume nectar before they go into the honey stores, I'm going to leave that one close to the brood as well. All right, here we have some nectar, some honey, some bee bread. Bee bread, by the way, is pollen that they have mixed with their own enzymes. And it's a way of storing the protein from the pollen for the nourishment of their brood.
So the yellow is
The yellow up here?
uh-huh.
The yellow up here is just wax cappings. The wax can come out different colors depending on the season, and sometimes it reflects the color of the honey behind it. But down in these cells, you see this kind of wet, sticky looking stuff.
Yes.
It comes in different colors. You've got some that's real light and some that is more orange. And that's pollen. That's the bee bread that I was talking about.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see pollen in its dry form in a frame, and if you ever see it and it just looks wet, that means it's the bee bread. All right, we've got nectar. So these girls aren't going hungry either. Even though they don't have a lot of honey stored up at the back, they're filling lots of cells with nectar. And I'm not sure if any of my commentary was captured because I had my microphone off at the last inspection, but sources for nectar right now are probably dandelion and henbit, both of which I've seen in bloom in the area. So this one, I wish it wasn't in the place where it was. It's an almost empty frame. Maybe I should move it back. I think I'm going to do that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm assuming that the bees are going to mostly be on this end, which is nearest the entrance. And I'm just trying to make sure that we have the food resources that they need to raise brood. All right, here we see a lot more bees. I would say that when the queen begins to lay, this may very well be where she does it. Just a quick glance, I do not see the queen, but I see lots of bees working on it, and I'm not quite sure what they are getting out of it right now because it doesn't seem to be holding any food. It's a very lightweight frame. Maybe they are just getting it ready for queen rearing or for brood rearing. So once again, they're flying quite a bit, but they're not attacking, which is good because this colony I had thought was tending towards being aggressive.
Yeah, there's some bees.
Yeah, we've got good population size, it looks like. There's food here, both nectar and bee bread. Lots of bees working on this one. I don't see any eggs brood or, yeah, they're definitely flying around a little more, aren't they? Population is not a concern for these girls. They're holding up well. And I see a few brood cells. I'm not sure if they're live. They may be dead brood that just hasn't been cleaned out. I don't happen to see any queen activity here. You all right, Nan?
Yes.
Okay. Food and lots of bees. Given that I'm not seeing brood, I sure would like to see the queen, but I haven't so far. I didn't really start looking with any concentration on the very earliest frames. They have they've built onto the front wall connecting that frame. All right, so now they are deciding to attack a little bit. All right, last frame. Let's see if we can lift this out now that I detached it. Yeah, not too much there. Okay, well, I would be more concerned about not seeing a queen or not seeing brood if on the other hive I had not, I saw the queen and she didn't have any brood either. And so knowing that the queen is right there tells me that it may be more the season than the absence of a queen. So I'm just going to close these girls up, check them in a week or two, and give them their nice new buffet to make sure that they have what they need to make it through the cold and then increase the population after the cold. That one kind of bulges out on one side, so I'm going to turn it the other way around. And these two I could just remove, but there's no real need. And they probably won't do anything more with the sugar as long as they have honey and nectar and all that we saw. Now, I do want to give them a path under the divider board. And in cases where I did not build in a put a screw as a riser for that board, I usually just take a twig to rest the divider board on, and that'll let them pass under. There's a lot of detritus in their colony. It looks like they've pushed it as far this way as the divider board previously allowed them to go. but since they couldn't make it all the way, they just left it on the ground, and probably they'll start doing some cleanup soon. Now I'm divided. I'm of two minds about these three. No, I just need to, they're just going to make a big old mess if I let the bees keep them. So I'm going to take them as I discussed, so that we don't end up with a lot of cross combing next time. Notice once I get the frames pulled back together, the traffic up here slows down a lot. Oh, there's lots of you there, huh? Oh, that's one way to shake them off. And what's the time?
Five minutes till 4.
All right, we've got time to do at least these two. Okay, so with these two, the main thing I'm looking at is going to be the level of population that they have. And I don't think I have to worry about food. I left them more than plenty, I'm sure. And I'm not planning to graft from these colonies, although I will probably use them as donors of population to help my queen rearing colonies, or queen mating colonies. The other thing I'll be assessing is how much room do they have for eggs and brood once we get into the season. All right, this so here we have only 7 frames, and frame 7 has a lot of honey. Frame 6 also seems mostly honey. The sun coming in at this low angle is different than I'm used to. I'm used to inspecting just about noon or in the early afternoon. All right, I see some bee bread here. I see some nectar here. Nectar and bee bread. So I must just be a little early for our location and hoping to see the first bits of brood for the spring. So the temperament in these bees is a little bit more defensive than the others. Oh, heard the brush moving. I thought maybe you're coming up to get a closer look.
Uh, they're flying around quite a bit.
What's that?
The bees are flying around quite a bit.
Yeah. Are they bumping you?
No.
Good. That's interesting. I'm not sure why I would have left. I must have felt like I was a little short of frames when I left these there. Yeah, so we've got some combed frames going on here. Yeah, I think that's why I left that one there, is it was cross combed a little bit into the rest of this. These 3 frames, in the spring, I'll have to rearrange them and try to get the bees off of them, try to get them to draw straight comb on the others. So right now, I haven't seen the queen, I haven't seen brood. But going to those cross combed frames is just going to be more destructive than I want to be. I feel confident that with the population size, they have what they need. I know they've got the food reserves they need. So we'll check back with them in a few weeks as well. That divider board needs a little bit of a shave. All right. This last one is going to be inspecting for the same kinds of factors, looking for the population. I expect they've got plenty of food, but I'll be looking to confirm that. Also, always judging temperament. So far, based on today, which could be different from what we'll find in a few weeks, but based on today, I don't feel a need to requeen any of these 3, at least not for aggression. This is another one that I've insulated with a wool-filled pillow. There's our divider board. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames here. Frame 7 has some scraps of honey. Not a lot, but a little bit. Frame 6 has a lot of honey. Plenty of honey. No signs that they're making fresh honey there yet. And you remember the appearance of these frames when I made them?
Mm-hmm.
See how much darker, how much more orangey they are?
Yeah.
The influence of bee feet. Frame 5 has some honey, has a little bit of double layering. That's always a bit of a pain. I don't see any signs of eggs. I do see some fresh nectar. Lots of population here. Frame 4. Lots of population. On both sides, and some honey at the top. There's my yellow marked queen. See her there?
Oh, yes.
So we have a queen. No brood so far. Okay. You want to step back, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one will likely be a candidate for requeening. No signs here of eggs or brood. Frame 2 has some honey. No signs of brood. Same on the other side. I think they drew some comb against the wall. No, I think what was actually stuck to the wall, this might be interesting. This colony, long ago, was made from a swarm trap. And so I had some slow release lemongrass oil in lemongrass oil in a slow release tube right there. It looks like, this sure looks like they propolized around this and then it somehow got pulled out of it. It looks like propolis that once encased this, and right now it's propolized again to the frame. So I'm going to pocket that swarm lure, and we'll pull that stuff off. Probably have to scrape it off. And that, I think, was what made me think that they were cross-combed to the wall.
I'm going to step into the truck, okay?
All right. But again, no brood. So right now we are 4 for 4 on no brood. And we know for sure that 2 of them have a queen and still no brood. So I'm not going to worry about that. It just must be still a bit too early in the spring. I would expect that the next time I get to come and inspect, we will likely have brood starting. All right, now they are a little upset with me by now, but we're gonna put them back to bed. We'll give them the pillow. Well, I have one more hive in the Hutto area that I could go inspect, but because my results have been so uniform today that none of them seem really short on food, they seem to still be finding nectar and pollen, that because of all of that, I'm going to, oh, I smell bananas. That's never a good sign. But because none of these hives have seemed to have any problems at all, the other hive was in no way unusual in a way that would lead me to predict additional problems from it. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to not inspect that one. Expect my next inspection in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and notification, all of that stuff. We'll catch you next time around at Blackland Prairie Bees.